Hello and welcome to In Conservation, a podcast for the Wildlife Trust for Beds, Cambs and North Ants. My name is Sophie Baker and I'm the editor of our members magazine Local Wildlife and host of the podcast. I am delighted that this episode features our Young People's Forum, who wanted to talk about young people, nature and mental health. A really important topic, I'm sure you'll agree, especially once you've heard the young people I spoke to. I went on a few walks, each with a different young person with a different perspective, and it was a moving and affecting experience for me, so I hope it will be for you too. I must warn you at this point that there is mention of mental health struggles and suicide in this episode, so do switch off if that troubles you. Producing this in the context of a post-COVID world, where the impacts of lockdowns and the changes in society are still reverberating through young people's lives and experiences, and where, as recently reported, suicide rates in young people have risen by a shocking 50% in 10 years. We talked about all kinds of things that affect young people and can have a negative impact on their mental health. They were all different, but each had found a way that getting out into nature and, crucially, meeting like-minded people could make a true difference to them and to their friends and peers. There were a few topics that came up a lot: the online world and social media, the pressures of the education system and the lack of formal support. But I was moved by how individual their struggles were and how open and generous they were with their own stories. I hope if you're a young person listening to this, or know a young person who might be struggling, or even if you're having a hard time yourself, that hearing these stories might help you just a little bit.
I'm Kaitlyn and I've been volunteering for the Wildlife Trust for about a year and a half, and I've very luckily was able to get to do the Peatland Progress traineeship, which is 6 months, and I'm also part of the Young People's Forum, so it's nice to be around people who enjoy nature as well, and my age as well with young people. It's lovely. I love it.
So yeah, we're here just to have a chat really about young people and mental health.
The big question.
It is a big question, isn't it? And it's something the Young People's Forum particularly wanted to talk about, which I think is really sort of positive and really interesting. Just from the outset, is there a reason you particularly wanted to chat about that?
I know that obviously as a young people, mental health can be quite damaging, especially with school, COVID, the actual whole world and all the problems going on. And it is a struggle, especially with social media. So I do have experience with it. I thought it'd be good to talk and potentially connect with other people, because although it's more talked about, it's not talked about personally, if that makes sense. So I thought it would be quite a good conversation.
So yeah, you say it is talked about a little bit. Do you feel like it's improving, or do you get a sense of it being different to how it was, or not?
It's weird, I'd say. It's definitely raised awareness in the fact that it's more acceptable, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but people are more aware. They can figure out what they've potentially got and able to learn how to deal with it online. The downside, I feel like, is you can see specialists, but they're just really long queues. You can't really get in and talk, which is hard, I guess. So you've got to try to figure out on your own. So I guess with raised awareness, it does make you feel more isolated, if that makes sense at all. It's quite weird. It's like yin yang, I guess, with it.
Yeah, so people are talking about it more, but the level of support hasn't gone up. So you feel like you're talking about it sort of, and then there's nothing you can do about it. So
yeah, basically. Yeah, it's quite difficult.
That is really difficult, isn't it? And so do you feel like there are support systems kind of in the education world, or not even that?
They are, but sometimes they do lack. When I was in secondary school, we had something called, I can't remember what it's called, but if you were struggling, you'd go to them during a lesson or lunchtime and you'd talk to someone, but they're very specific who they have. So during my GCSEs, I had some mental health problems, and during my geography, I went to my teacher to ask, can I go to this place? Again, can't think what it's called. And she was like, no, you're just anxious about your tests, go back to work. And it was just like, I felt like I couldn't go there again because they just put it down as test anxiety, and I feel like it's very specific, so you have to meet a criteria, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, it seems weird to me that anxiety in that way wouldn't qualify.
Yeah,
Because
it's really weird.
doesn't really matter what you're anxious about, does it? If you're
No.
experiencing anxiety, it can be really debilitating.
Yeah,
So
it was really weird what that happened, but
yeah. So
unfortunately.
yeah, I am sorry you experienced that. And did you find that your friends were supportive about that? I mean, is there a sense that people, your peers, talk about it with each other more?
It's again, don't really, well, within my friend group, we don't talk about problems. We talk about it on the surface level. But it's only a few friends I'm close with now we talk about it because we're more close, and it's not, I guess, bad to talk about. I don't know if that makes sense, but definitely during school it was all like, oh, it's just exams, it's just teen problems. Whereas now we're more adults, it feels like we take it more serious. So I do have that part, but during secondary school, no, not at all. It was unfortunate.
And so, what did you do to help yourself feel better? Was nature a part of what helped?
Yeah, oh, definitely. It was probably the defining moment of my life because I went to uni to study zoology, but it was really bad because I basically fell into depression during uni because I was isolated. I didn't find any friends and it was horrible. And then during my third year, I realised I have no experience. So I went to volunteer with Sussex Wildlife Trust. It was, I think it was coppicing, the first one we did. I was very nervous because I'm not great with talking with new people. And I went and it was so nice. They were all lovely. I realised that I can actually talk about nature without worrying about what I say. And I came home and I was like, the first smile I've had in years. And I was so happy. I called my parents up and I talked to them for an hour. And ever since then, I was like, that's it. I'm going outside and I'm learning.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
what a story. That is fantastic. I'm so glad you found it. It's sad that it took that long.
Oh, I know.
Isn't it? You'd hope that people are kind of given an opportunity through their education to understand that about nature and being outside and talking to people. But no, at least you did find it.
Yeah.
What is it, do you think, about nature? Is it connecting with other people about nature, or is there something about just being in nature as well, or what is it?
I think it's both because I know there's scientific studies of the whole dopamine levels of the sunlight and the senses and that. There's that whole, if you don't want to get into the science part, but I think it's like we are nature. At least that's what my boss says all the time, and we do kind of thrive in nature. So it's just nice to be outside, and it's different to the norm, I guess, where you're in cities or towns inside online. But I think also just being able to talk to people that share what you like, especially since nature when you're young is deemed uncool or like you're a nerd for like in science. But being able to talk to people who like it is freeing, I guess is the right word. So I think it's both, which is quite nice.
Yeah. I'm really sad to hear that liking science and nature is still seen as geeky at school. It's so sad, isn't it? Like that was true when I was at school as well. That was a long time ago. It really ought to have got over that by now.
I know. It's definitely gotten better, but there's still this unfortunate few people who still think it's horrible to like nature or whatever, or science.
So when was it that you first noticed that nature was having a positive effect on your life? Was it that moment, or had you sort of started connecting with the nature side of it earlier?
Well,
rather than the people side, see what I mean?
Yeah, when I was younger, I was always in nature. That's a good thing about my parents. We did a lot of going out for walks, doing a lot of wildlife trust events and everything. So I did have when I was younger. So I did always have that connection. I loved watching all the nature shows. Like I have had that connection, but I didn't. This will sound really silly, but I didn't realize that I could work in nature. It's kind of because in school, their jobs is always, oh, mechanic, oh, doctor, oh, researcher, but they don't, and it's just they don't talk about nature and conservation, at least not for me. So I just had that disconnect. I didn't think about it. So I always thought it's just something I enjoy. But then that moment at uni really put the pin in it, I guess. And it was like, wow, this is my awakening.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
That's amazing. That
go
geese was
for it.
really enjoying what you were saying there, like going, yeah, right on. Yeah, that's brilliant. And one thing I'm interested to know about as well, in terms of kind of mental health and nature, is eco-anxiety, because I know
Yes.
it comes up quite a lot these days in the media, you know, whatever that means. But is that something that you experience, or that you've kind of, your friends or anybody you know has experienced?
I actually didn't realise that that was a thing until this year or last year. Like, I've always had anxiety about nature, but I didn't realise it had the name
Yeah.
anxiety. But oh yeah, definitely, especially with more access to social media, you see the negatives. So you see like the climate change, the endangered species, all the bad stuff, and it does make you anxious about the future. Even my mum is always very anxious for me. I'm not sure about my friends because we haven't really talked about it, but I'm sure they probably have it too. But no, it's hard, the social media, I think, because once you get one negative, they think you like it and they'll show you more and more. They don't show you the positive side of things. I think that's a struggle with young people in eco society.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, social media has come up a lot in conversations I've had.
I
You know,
bet.
yeah, it's a real struggle, isn't it, to get the balance right, because it can be really useful as well in terms of connecting with other people, with like-minded people, and finding that tribe. It can be a real positive, but it can have this negative effect as well, I think. And yeah, it's really difficult, isn't it? What advice would you give to young people, do you think, who are struggling with eco-anxiety?
I think, well, very recently I went to a conservation training with Brian Evesham, the CEO, and what he said has really stuck out to me. But it's gonna be okay, kind of thing. Nature is very resilient. They've lived millions of years through ice ages, heat waves. They're not as fragile as you think. So it's not, it's the worry, obviously, but it's not a panic, I guess.
Would you say that taking action is something that helps? Does it help you manage your eco-anxiety?
Yeah, definitely. I feel even though it's something small, it does help that you do, even if it's something as simple as recycling plastics or not killing spiders in your house or just something small like that. It does make me feel better, like I'm contributing. But yeah, especially when you go up to levels like volunteering and in my case working, it does make you feel like you're doing some difference locally, not globally. But the more you do locally, the more it contributes globally.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's the people that can work on a global scale is a very small number of people.
Yeah, very, very
right.
small.
So the only thing really that any of the rest of us can do is work locally.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you find, kind of being in this world, because something I sometimes find about it, just speaking personally, is that you're kind of on the front line of the information, a lot of which is negative.
Yeah.
And so you do find yourself sort of confronted. You find yourself confronted with the facts of things in decline, or you know, what the drought has done, or what flooding is doing, or any of those things. And it can be really difficult being on that front line and kind of feeling like the rest of the world doesn't seem to get it. Do you find that as well?
I do, especially when we're talking about the reserves and the species and everything declining. But on the flip side, you do get a lot of the positive information through. So like all the species we have saved or we have brought back, like the beaver reintroduction, or I can't think of any. That's like the main example at the moment.
Yeah, well, and we're walking around the net wetlands, and it has to be said as well, where obviously the beavers are here in Northamptonshire for the first time in something like 700 years.
I know,
so
it's amazing.
It is amazing and very exciting. Yeah, no, I do feel that too. It's kind of, you know, you're on the front line of the bad, but also of the good.
The good, yeah. It's like the yin yang.
Yes,
stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what plans do you have in your life now to keep connected with nature? Because obviously it's had such a profound effect on you. And you know, you're working here for the trust now. Is that what you're locked in now? That's your career, is it? Do you think?
Yeah, I definitely want to carry on with nature and ecology, working for it. Obviously, I am very biased working with them while I trust, but any kind of charity that helps with nature is my end goal. And along with that, I do want to carry on volunteering, but potentially with sectors I haven't done yet, so surveying or practical conservation. And I think that's my goal, is just to keep going, keep taking my dogs out to nature walks, and just trying to stay out as much as my time will let me, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Because just to be, you don't have to work in conservation to feel
No.
like you're making a difference in conservation, do you? And even this is the thing that's come up a lot in these discussions, is that just being outside in any nature, it's great if it's a nature reserve. Equally, it's great if it's a pocket park, or
Yeah, definitely.
your local bench that looks over a few trees or something.
Yeah.
I hope that kind of thing can help people too.
Yes,
certainly
definitely.
seems to have come through the conversations that I've had. Yeah, that's great. So thank you very much. I mean, it's for sharing your story, and also for chatting to us about this. Is there any sort of last piece of advice you'd give to young people if they're struggling with their mental health and they haven't sort of figured out about nature and how it can help?
I feel like no matter how late it is, just taking the first small baby steps is going to help significantly. Like if you just can't seem to want to leave your room, something as simple as taking a 5-minute walk down the street and just doing that, something small like once a day or even once a week, and just trying to start it, you will be surprised about how much it helps. Or even trying to find social media that is positive can also help. There is quite a few like Instagram accounts that's all about good, positive environment news. So anything small is going to be great. And you might find it, you might not, and that's okay as well.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you very much indeed.
It's
been really good to chat to you. And good luck with your time in the trust and your traineeship.
Hi everyone, my name is Anidunnu and I am a member of the Wildlife Trust's Youth Forum. I joined the Young People's Forum because I wanted to have a say and an impact in my local environment.
Yeah, amazing. And where did you find out about it?
I found out about this on Instagram, so I was looking for different things to join and how to get involved, and I was just scrolling through Instagram and it was like Young People's Forum, and I was, that sounds like something I'd like to get involved in.
Yeah, amazing. And so we're just walking to, I guess, your local nature reserve, is that fair to say?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you spend a lot of time here?
Well, I literally just figured out this was here like a few months ago, which is really surprising. I have a huge park behind me and I spend a lot of time there.
Yeah.
Just like going, reading, journaling, and but I've never actually been here that much. So
wow.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, it's nice. I do find like in places there's often little pockets of green that aren't necessarily signposted from anywhere. Yeah, that you would, so you do journaling. That's
yes,
really,
I do.
Yeah. What kind of journaling? Is it sort of written or visual?
Written. I also draw, so I have this book and I keep like, how do I say this? I keep a track of like wildflowers I find. So I go to like the park, just different like nature reserves, and I kind of annotate around the flowers, like what part this is and the species and everything.
Yeah, so we're here today really to talk about sort of nature and mental health and young people's mental health, and the reason I say that so overtly is because obviously nature journaling is one of those things that people are often encouraged to do. Do you find that helps you in that way?
Yeah, so when I'm stressed with schoolwork or anything, and really I just get my journal, go to the park and find like a nice tree, especially when it's sunny, and just write down my thoughts. And I found that it really helps because when you're out in nature, you feel a lot more connected and grounded, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I tried journaling in my room. It wasn't really as good, but then when I actually went out in the park and sat down, I just felt so much more connected.
Yeah, it's just I guess it's that close observation. Is that it? Sort of, especially if you're drawing something.
Yeah.
There's something very meditative about that. Do you do that a lot then? Do you find yourself kind of drawn to green spaces?
Yeah, every Saturday. So when I was younger, I didn't really grow up in a very nature-y kind of area. I grew up in a town, so it was very urbanized, but my parents always made sure we went to like a nature reserve every Saturday.
Wow, yeah.
And I think as I've grown up, that kind of just stuck with me, you know.
Yeah, and this is, I tell you what, we've only just started coming in here, but this is a really cool little place, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a pond here, just like...
come here during the spring, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I bet, yeah, and there's sort of this path going through, I guess, sort of like scrubby, sort of enclosed. It feels kind of like a little mystery wonderland, doesn't it? It's really cool. Do you find like your peers, your friends, also find solace in nature, or is it something you feel, I don't know, alone in?
Surprisingly, no. My friends don't really like going out in nature, so whenever like we hang out, we always go to town, and I'm like, do you want to go to like a picnic? But no, so I think I'm mainly the only one in my circle that really finds peace in nature, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's do you have any insight as to why that might be? Like, do you think it's because their families didn't do it like yours did, you know, or?
Yeah, I think upbringing might be a very big part, but also social media. So it's really easy to get like caught in the loop, just scrolling and not actually spending time and going around and, you know, actually being adventurous, you know. Because it's really easy because we have everything in our fingertips. You don't really have to go out to find much. You don't have to go out to find much entertainment when you could just like find it online. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, sort of easy at your fingertips. Where that feels like such a shame. But yeah, what do you have anything in your education, like at school or anything, that encourages connection with nature, or do you think that's lacking?
Definitely. My school has an environmental council, so we work on different campaigns. Right now we're working on giving every form group a plan to take care of, so it's kind of a way to foster a sense of environmental awareness and actually get people to care through like friendly competition, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we give them a plan at the start of every year, and whoever can keep it the healthiest, technically, gets a prize at the end of the school year.
Ah, that's really nice. So you're part of the council then, I suppose. Yeah. And did that exist before, or did you help set it up? Or?
No, I think it did exist before. I joined when I was in year 8, so once I found out my school had an environmental council, I was like, I need to get involved in that. Yeah. And it's been amazing, honestly, actually connecting with other people that care about the climate and the environment, because you don't get much of that anymore. So
no, that's a shame. What do you think schools or families, I mean, what do you think they could do better? Because it's obviously helped you and helps you, you know, with because there's a lot of pressures as a young person, I imagine. But, you know, exams and education and all the things that come along with growing up and all of that. And it sounds to me like kind of connecting with nature is a way that's really helped you stay grounded. You think was the word you used, wasn't it? Being grounded. What do schools need to do to kind of encourage more of that, do you think?
I think they could definitely like include it in the curriculum in some ways, like during PSHE lessons, just let young people know where they can go, because I had no idea I had this nature reserve like 3 minutes away from where I live.
Yeah.
So just letting people know where they can go to connect with nature in their local environments, I think that's a very important part of it.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because I think it's been taken for granted for so long that we're just sort of connected to the natural world. But really, especially if you grow up in urban environments, if you don't come across it without going to seek it out, then it's hard for it to just be a part of who you are.
Who you are, right, yeah.
And so your favourite thing to do, would that be nature journaling, or do you just think sometimes just sit and listen? I mean, what do you think?
On a sunny day, definitely. I also do some bird watching. I'm not very good at it, but I can identify some, but
You don't need to be good at to watch them, do you, I suppose? You know, I think that's the thing as well, is like for me connecting with nature, and I'm not a young person, but it's not always about knowing exactly what it is you're looking at. Sometimes just like the fact that there's loads of crows calling overhead and magpies chattering in the, you know, but you don't need to know they're crows and magpies just to kind of tune in and appreciate that they're here. Do you find that it's more girls than boys that connect with nature, or what's your experience?
I definitely think so, because of the way we've been brought up by society to be more caring and just, you know, more open to different things. So yeah, I definitely think so, but it really shouldn't be that way. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like young boys, there's been a real focus on young boys struggling with their mental health. I feel like maybe having more access to nature.
Yeah.
Would that help?
I think so, yeah, because the part of it is like the stigma around it. But I found that when you're in nature, you don't really need to say much to feel connected and to feel there, you know. So yeah, I think nature could definitely play a big part in making more young people feel open about speaking about their mental health.
Yeah. Do you find that young people do speak about it? Do you find there's been a change in your sort of experience?
With social media, yeah, I definitely say there's more of a culture about speaking out and actually saying something. But then before, like 3 years ago, before the whole like speak out movement, and actually, yeah, I don't think many young people felt open and felt safe to actually, yeah, talking about how they feel.
Yeah. Do you know people who have done that, who've kind of opened up about particular struggles? You know, good mental health is for all of us. And bad mental health doesn't necessarily mean a diagnosis.
Yeah.
But some people do get diagnosed. You know, have you had an experience of people sort of opening up about that with you? And
I'd say it's hard to speak out when you don't know where to go to.
Sure.
So definitely, like, you could speak out to your peers, you could tell them how you're feeling, but then actually getting that professional help is hard because, like I said, the stigma around it first off, and actually not knowing where to go. And when you do know where to go, you don't know how confidential the services are going to be. So I was speaking to one of my friends the other day, and there's this service called CAMS. They'd really like to go, like, they said it sounds lovely, but then they don't know how confidential it would be. They don't know if they disclose this information, where is it going to go? Is that going to go back to them and circle back and, like, you know? So yeah, I feel like that confidentiality about it is very important.
yeah, especially when you're under 18, I suppose, and you don't, you know, other people will have a responsibility to report things potentially, but then if you don't know what level, you know, that must be really hard. And do your friends open up? Do you open up with each other about things? Do you feel like that is a thing or not so much?
I feel like it depends on what kind of people you surround yourself with. So I love my friends. I feel like I can open up to them about anything really, and they're just kind of my safe space. Also having like family around and people I can trust when I'm feeling sad, feeling stressed with schoolwork and just life in general. Yeah. But yeah.
Do you ever bring your friends to natural spaces even when they don't necessarily want to? You know, you're saying you suggest picnics and things. Do you just drag them along?
To a couple of picnics.
Yeah. That's good.
My sister especially, she does like going out, but I've dragged her to like come painting with me in the park, journaling and everything.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And do you see a difference in other people when you bring them to places, you know? Yeah, you do see that them calm down as well.
Calm down,
yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it?
So because their stress levels just drop.
Yeah, especially it's sort of reluctant. You know, it just shows you don't have to be looking around you and trying to identify things to be affected by it. So it's you can just encourage people to come and see their stress levels drop.
Yeah, I had this friend, she never liked going out in general, but then I always forced her to like go to a park with me every Saturday, well, every other Saturday when we're busy, just like go study, especially during exam season. I always encourage her to just take some time and study with me, and I found that it really calms her down, you know? She really likes revising alone, like in her room, but then she told me after we spent a day in the park, she was like, I feel like I've learned so much more, you know? Because actually going into it with the mindset that I don't need to rush myself, I'm like actually just being calm,
I think that's a good tip as well, actually. Yeah, and it sounds like it's really made a difference to someone and helped them take the actual revision in as well, which is really valuable. And is this your favourite place to come, do you think?
No,
Where's your favourite?
Park is definitely my favourite. Like, there's so many, like, I wouldn't say secretive, but just like enclosed spaces. So
that's nice.
I think there's also a big part of going out, but then not wanting to seem alone, because there's this culture about people wanting to go out, but with their friends. I feel like a lot of young people would like to go out in nature and just spend some time alone, but then they wouldn't want people to see them as not having friends, if that makes sense. It shouldn't be that way, obviously, but then I think that is definitely a very big part. part of it. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of enclosed spaces where you could just sit down, read a book, and
Yeah, and no one would know you're there. No one's watching you and judging you. Yeah, no, I can see that. What would you say to young people who are feeling, you know, whether it's stressed about school or about friendships or anything like that? What would you say would be a first step to connect with nature to help them feel better?
Just taking that time alone, first of all, and just putting yourself out there. So once you've exposed yourself to actually going out and being out in nature, it kind of becomes part of you. So I think just taking that first step and saying, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to spend time alone. Yeah, I think that's really important.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been lovely chatting to you, and thank you for showing me around this amazing little hill of a reserve that's right near your house. Yeah, amazing. Thank you.
Are you the sort of person that will travel to a reserve just to see our majestic Highland cows? Or have you been to the Nen wetlands recently to try and catch a glimpse of our brilliant beaver family? Do you know someone who's a hedgehog fanatic, with holes in their fences to let them in and bowls of cat food laid out carefully every night to tempt these prickly fellows to their garden? Well, do we have the thing for you? Our Adopt a Species packs feature artwork, goodies like key rings, bookmarks or cuddly toys, and a fact file all about your chosen species, plus a certificate of adoption. They make a fantastic gift for the nature lover in your life, and buying a pack also means the money spent will go towards our work protecting the wildlife in our 3 counties. A win-win-win, given the kudos you'll get as the gift giver too, even if that gift is just a treat for yourself. And if you're looking for something a little more last minute, worry not. We also do digital adoption packs delivered to you for immediate gift giving. No one will ever know how close you came to forgetting. What are you waiting for? Visit wildlifebcn.org/adopt to find out more.
So I'm Charlie German. I'm a member of the BCN Young People's Forum. We're a group of young, like 18 to 24-year-olds who love getting out in wildlife, love being with other people and leading workshops and spending time together. And I live in a small village, so shout out to Wesley Woods. And I'm currently doing supported interns at college, which is about learning to get a job, teamwork, and work experience essentially, as well as learning from other people, which is very important.
So we're here to talk about young people and mental health, and that was a topic that was raised by the Young People's Forum. Why is it important to you?
Because
to talk about?
I think it's very good to be open, and because I find being out somewhere wild is a lot better than being in a classroom. I don't know how people do it in classrooms. Because occasionally I'm sure staff can just have pie. I just go and just have pie outside when I need it. And that either being somewhere wild or being somewhere where you can tune off and you're not near a train or you're not near. Civilization feels a little big word.
Yeah.
Somewhere quieter. Or even you just go and sit in a potting shed for 5 minutes.
Yes.
Just to clear your head helps. And that
Yeah.
I sometimes struggle with it. I try and stay positive and then I start, wandering and, and I also think as men, we really need to improve on how we do it, because I don't know the numbers. I'm going to say it's like 5% of people take suicide each year. But it's men, because I don't know how to put this into words. Because we're men, we're meant to be seen as being hardy and some emotion, but not much. Different generation, hopefully it will. Us and Dad might be okay, but Granddad barely talked about his feelings. And with next generation, I think it can be seen as being weak, maybe.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's encouraging for me to hear that you think it's changing through the generations.
Yeah,
that you see.
slowly.
Do you see that?
Yeah, I don't know what year 6 is when they grow up. I don't know how it will be then. And also, I don't think technology is helping particularly.
No, I don't think so either. And so, do you explore the woods then if you're feeling, I don't know, like you need something to calm you down or help you feel better?
And I love exploring and seeing where it all goes and seeing different times of year, which now's the change, which is
Yes,
quite
yeah,
fast.
we're recording this just at the beginning of
I
October.
think you're mentioning that as somebody on the spectrum. The seasonal change is a lot to handle.
Yes,
I try and
you find
adjust them.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because temperatures, heats, and vision. I find either I'm too hot or I'm too cold.
Yeah.
And then the vision thing, and then it's dark. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not in computer work, although if I was doing range work, when it's suddenly dark at 4 to then see what you're doing. Yeah.
Yes, it is difficult. It is. But do you find actually getting out in nature helps with those transitions?
Yeah,
do you think? Sort of regulating?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that way, definitely. Like autumn into winter. And then, but also that change through like February, March. The first bit's tough, but then it's good because you know it's going to get lighter and it's going to get better.
Yeah.
Although when it's frosty and then,
things never happen in a linear way, do they?
No.
You always feel like you're doing a few steps forward and then it gets warm again.
And then,
that's tricky.
but it's good because it's good to start feeding the ground and the lawns and things.
Yes.
And it's good to, well, it's a lot of, if you're raking leaves, long job. And the root veg. I like seeing them, although I far rather see them in April time when the leaves are on the way up.
Yes. I was wondering, can you identify like when it was that you first realised that nature helped your mental health? Is that something you can think about, or has it just always been there?
Probably 10 or 11 when we first moved out to Wesley.
Yeah.
And just getting out and learning with different people. I think we explored here because it was somewhere good to get some exercise. It was quite local. And then a few years later we met Becca. Shout out to Becca Neal Bean. And then I think I did a youth rangers, or we did one of the events and we've done bat watching here, which has been wonderful. I love learning new, practical things. So when we build on the green team, I built willow fences at Hinchinbrook Park where you weave them, you you hammer them in.
Yeah. And
they're wonderful because they're strong, durable, British, and they're long lasting.
Yes.
And Andy and his team's been doing it for decades.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's good to be making that. We did that and then explored being Grafham and Water a few times.
Yeah,
that's okay.
So it sounds like the Wildlife Trust was quite important to you from quite a young age, actually, specifically.
And then I joined the forum close to when it started.
Yeah.
What else was here when we first moved? And the people, of course. There's some amazing people in Wesley.
Yeah.
There's everything from, I think our youngest is 8 months.
Yeah.
All the way, there's probably someone in their late 80s, and most of us all work together, and it's a good small community.
Yes.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah. And so, is your family also connected to green spaces?
Reasonably, we all love getting out in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So was it your family that helped you find that nature was helping?
Close, yeah. Well, we also moved out because we wanted to move out to the countryside.
Yes.
Because we've got some family who live about 25 minutes. Well, yeah, 25 minutes away. So just to sit outside and just hear.
Yeah.
Everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And with all the communities, it's good. And Mum's from Manchester, so they live near. I say it's more of a town. So there was some, although once we moved here, it's just amazing learning from the land, learning from the people, seeing the sunsets, sunrises, floods. That's not something we're used to when we're in London. No. Well, we were used to it because the cellar flooded, although having whole roads shut because of water is,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what do we do now? Yes.
Canoe. So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And is there anything else about young people's mental health you want to talk about in particular, do you think, that we haven't covered?
Yeah, so ways to engage people in nature. I think definitely doing youth rangers or doing a volunteering group at new places, new people is wonderful, because that's the way to learn, in my view. You have to be out there learning. And
do you find learning is an important way to be in charge of your own mental health?
It is too. And to take walks or take deep breaths or take a tea or have an early night to help with things, and reach out if you or your family are going through something tough. Then for us as Men's Shed, which is about getting men together to talk about mental health and mental well-being and self-esteem and how to keep motivated and resilience, which is in Cambridge, I believe.
what would you say to a young person who is struggling with their mental health?
Okay. Take 3 deep breaths, talk to your parents or your guardians or fostered adults, and try and get out in a green space if you can. Whether it's a field, whether it's near a river, wherever it is. Take it easy. And Young Minds and Samaritans are both there if you need them, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you need them, they're there.
Yeah.
Try drawing how you feel, if that makes sense. So get out your pencils and draw that on the page. Because that I find as somebody with autism that helps a lot. And I'm sure that will help you too. And you've got artwork at the end of it. So yeah. That's good.
Have there been experiences you've had with other people where you've noticed that being out in nature has helped their mental health?
Definitely. You definitely get people who maybe more lively or more, or you can just see and go, oh, it's good. You take the banker out the bank.
Yeah.
You get somebody in the science world out the science world. You get somebody out the shoe shop out the shoe shop. It's good. And there's a lot you can talk about and a lot you can feel together because you're in the same space. And very good. And it's even better if you go blackberry picking, or you can do a little activity together. That's always lovely.
Yeah, so something to do with your hands as well. Yeah,
that's what I love. And being with the Young People's Forum, it's so good to be with other people and share ideas and and just spend time together because we're all either at secondary school or volunteering or working.
And have you found being a member of the Young People's Forum helped you?
It's helped a lot, and we've all helped each other, which is wonderful. And we meet up probably once or every couple of months. Do a few online things. If there's youth rangers or trustee meeting, we might pop in. And go places together and go to whether it's workshops or talks and encourage the greater community and MPs to improve together and learn together.
And
get the wildlife and green space and practical and all of that is main agenda.
Yeah, and do you find that feeling like you're making a difference also helps with your mental health? Yeah.
Wow, that's good. Yeah, so making a difference. So when let's say we've cleared the shrubland or we planted the trees to help stop the flooding, we're digging ditches. I've done twice, and it's so tiring. So that's good. Well, it's good because you know the water's going to drain. You're not going to get a flooded path. So that's good. Yeah. Being with other young people from different walks of life and abilities and all the rest, and hobbies and all of that is wonderful too.
Yeah, and feeling like you're actually affecting things.
True.
You know. Yeah, I can see
improving. The tougher thing is though, a lot of our BCN habitats are in quite remote places. So for people, I mean, I'm reasonably accessible. If I try and get out of the house, either a parent drops me off or I can take to get a tiger bus, which is probably for most teenagers the only way, or cycle. Which is good. There's some reserves which are because of where they are, or because they're part of a farmland, they're off 20 minutes away from the B road.
Absolutely, yeah. There are some quite remote spaces, but I mean, to me, that's why it's so important that green spaces are high on the political agenda, and to make sure that we're protecting other spaces around people, so that people do have somewhere they can go that's not necessarily a BCN reserve, but it's still just as valuable to sit in a park.
It could just be a 10 by 10 metre square of grass.
Yeah.
And now's the time to be planting your onions and bulbs and things. Even that, because just being on the grass and in the mud, as long as you're not in white trousers, feels amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, and doing that with people, and yes, that's wonderful.
So I'm Harvey Woodhouse. I am on the Young People's Forum. I don't think I necessarily have like a major role. I sort of talk about the sort of big picture things like young people's mental health and sort of getting young people more involved in terms of policy discussions around the environment. It's nice to be able to sort of not give back, but to sort of use a bit of my free time to do some positive things rather than sitting at home and worrying about how terrible everything is.
Yeah. And do you find that helps as well with your mental health, actually, sort of having something that gives you a positive thing to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not just the sort of wildlife trust thing. So I also help out Warm Spaces, which is a thing they do in Biggleswade, where community halls open in the winter for people who might need a warm space to go to. And taking those sort of really positive things, being able to do them in my free time, has actually really helped sort of my mental health. I wouldn't necessarily say I've had bad mental health, but actually it's been really beneficial just to speak to different people and to do different things that I wouldn't necessarily have done beforehand. I think it's helped with things like anxiety and being able to speak publicly. Before COVID, I was never able to sort of speak publicly or do sort of public facing things, and now I actually really enjoy it, and it sort of not gives me a thrill, but it sort of it's a positive boost that I think I need.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so we're walking around Paxton Pits today, and we're here to talk about nature and young people and mental health.
Absolutely. I think it's not often something like we speak about a lot. Honestly, when it comes to young people and sort of nature, it's very much focused around climate change and that sort of thing, which also comes with a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that, particularly for young men, me being a young man myself, I think it's a really important topic to talk about because, again, it's just not spoken about enough. So.
Yeah, and do you find that in your own peer group, your own friends and stuff, has it got any better in recent years, or do you think there's still a lot of work to do?
I think it's gotten, when you compare it to like parents' generation, I think it's gotten a lot better in terms of like speaking about it. But again, I think for a certain age group, I think my age group is probably not as good as speaking about it as we ought to be. And I think probably the younger generation probably aren't either. I think it's gotten better, but it's still gotten a little bit worse. I think probably because of COVID. But I think broadly we are heading in the right direction, but there's still a lot of work to do on that front.
Yeah, absolutely, and and really important to do it, isn't it? Because it's talking about it is like the first step, isn't it? If you keep it all bottled up inside, and you don't hear of anyone else going through similar struggles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then it just compounds everything, doesn't it? It makes everything worse.
For sure. And I think for young people, we've got so many sort of struggles and sort of things to worry about that might seem trivial to sort of older people, but when you're 13, 14, you're looking ahead and you've got GCSEs, and then you've got all the small things that all sort of add up to this massive sort of weight, and then sort of you do GCSEs and you realise actually it's not the end of the world, and you've got the big world ahead of you, and that can be quite a lot. There's the pressure of housing, like so many little things, not really little things, but things that all add up, and actually being able to take those 10, 15, 20 minutes every day, every other day to take yourself out of it and sort of be in nature, I think is really healing. Yeah,
and is that what you do for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think probably started around like COVID, when the only thing you really could do is either like sit on your games console, Christ, I sound old, or sort of go out. And I think for me it was very much going out and sort of doing things that I wouldn't necessarily have done before, and I think that sort of very much stayed with me. And through the difficulties of COVID and all the sort of issues within my personal life, and then going through college and the stress of that, and then university, and then the whole sort of job hunting stage of life, actually being able to take those half an hour sessions every day has been really helpful, and it's something that I will definitely do going forward, and I encourage as many people to do it as possible.
Yeah, and what do? You say sessions. I find this is quite an interesting word, isn't it? It's like, do you have a sort of plan of what you do, or is it more
I think it really, so the last couple of months I've been coming here to Paxton Pits every other day really, and just sort of walking around, especially at sunset. There's not many people around, but still quite active here in terms of the nature, and I find it really sort of healing listening to like birds and you know, particularly around this bit, seeing the sunset and that sort of thing. It's peaceful, and I think you don't really get enough time to sort of not worry about everything and sort of have those reflection times, I guess. I think it must have been a week ago. I was here around 8 o'clock, and there was a fox kit in the field over there, and it just sort of like stared directly into me. And I was like, it's just incredible. It's such a small thing, but it's moments like those that sort of put everything into sort of perspective, I guess.
Yeah, and it is. For me, it is that as well. It's putting things into perspective. Is that you realise that you're part of something else that's going on that's not the everyday stresses and strains. You know, do you feel kind of that you can immerse yourself a bit? And I don't know, what is it about being in nature? Does it just calm your mind? Does it make you physically feel different?
I think so. I mean, it's always something that's been, you know, a part of my life. Even like not so much going out into nature, but I sort of grew up watching like Steve Irwin and David Attenborough.
Yeah.
And so there's elements of that sort of make me feel almost comforted.
Yeah.
And I think being able to go out into nature myself, although, you know, I'm not wrestling crocs or filming whales, for example, it's still that sort of immersion that's really important.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be anything any more than that, does it? I mean, you know,
absolutely.
just taking a stroll. Yeah. Away from your desk and away from.
Yeah, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be somewhere like Paxton Peaks. You know, if I'm when I first moved to St. I sort of just used to walk around the area, and there's small green spaces, but actually just being out in the fresh air, you know, with my headphones on, just taking those periods of time to just chill out a bit and not be worried and focused on work and drama at home. It's helpful. It's really helpful.
Yeah, and did your family? I mean, are you from a family that goes out into nature, you know, for walks and things? Because you know, it's not a given, is it? Not everybody's family's like that.
I don't think. I wouldn't say so. I mean, my mum used to go out on a lot of walks, not necessarily for nature, but for just passing time, really. And I'm sort of the only one who's sort of been really passionate about nature. I obviously studied it at college and university through animal management, and it's always been a big part of me. So
yeah. And do you find that's true of people that you know as well? Like, have you found your tribe? You know?
Yeah, I guess everyone's got a different story, really. I think the people who are like really focused on nature are much more comfortable going out into it, and I find that the people who do it tend to come from backgrounds of people who don't. Whereas those, you know, if your family's really into nature, I feel like you kind of sort of feel almost like not pressured, but to like rebel and find your own path.
Right.
I think that's probably a part of it as well.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so your rebellion. Maybe you take it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's
for
just
sure.
Always going to be there.
And I think taking it for granted is we're all probably guilty of that. I mean, you know, growing up, I sort of didn't really care about the environment. I think there's broadly a problem with a lot of young people is not necessarily caring about it. I think it was Steve Irwin said, you know, if you can make someone care about something, you can make them protect it. And I think that's true of young people now. If we can make young people use green spaces for whether it be mental health, etc., they'll care about it and then they'll protect it. And I think that's really important for, you know, organisations such as the Wildlife Trust to sort of foster that environmental stewardship into young people.
Yeah. And it's hard, isn't it? Because like you say, there are so many pressures, you know, young people have on their time, you know, and like you say, a lot of grown-ups might consider some of the things trivial, but at the time it's not trivial.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know,
I think the biggest example of that is social media, and I think that's probably switched around. I think a lot of older people probably spend more time on social media
yes,
than us young ones. But I think that's a huge pressure. And there's things that we can do to minimise that. There's some things that the government's done, which is really positive. But actually, I think encouraging people to put the screens down and sort of come and just appreciate their surroundings is really important, because it's not just, it's being more proactive as well. Getting involved with local groups like the Wildlife Trust, it's really important because I think it helps with a sense of belonging and sort of meaning, which I think is really important for young people, because, you know, especially young men don't necessarily know what their place is in the world, I guess. So actually having that thing to sort of focus on and find your purpose, I guess, is really powerful.
Yeah.
you know, I know what it's like being young when you're 15. Nature doesn't, it's not sexy. It's not necessarily the most interesting thing.
Yeah.
It's not seen as cool, but actually, you just need to encourage everybody to forget about all of that and sort of just embrace it, I guess.
Yeah, because you can do those sexy and cool things in other ways, can't
Yeah.
you? It doesn't, doing one doesn't mean you don't have to do the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And do you have any friends or peers? Obviously, I don't want to out anybody, but identifiably that have really struggled and then benefited from kind of connecting with nature or any other aspect.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because obviously young people, we don't really like speaking about it with our peers until we know one of our peers who's going through a rough time, then we can sort of have that empathy and sort of talk a bit about what we've gone through. So it's hard to sort of know. I know of people who've gone through mental health and have unfortunately not had a positive outcome, which is really sad. And I think going forward, I think it's something I probably personally need to focus on is talking to my peers, friends and colleagues about mental health a bit more and how they've dealt with it and sort of having more positive conversation around it.
And you feel that, do you? You feel like it's difficult because none of us in our general lives are qualified to kind of help people with mental health issues, especially if they're diagnosable ones or things that are very, very tricky. But yeah, I mean, I feel that too, that sort of responsibility that it is up to all of us to watch out for one another.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily like, it's really easy to focus mental health around depression and anxiety, but actually everyone has mental health. I did write a blog for the Wildlife Trust a while back, I think it was for Youth Week or Mental Health Week, one of the two, and I sort of highlighted the importance of actually everyone has it. You don't necessarily have to have depression or anxiety, but actually having those bad days, sometimes bad weeks, sometimes bad months, everyone goes through it, and actually being able to talk about it and deal with it in a positive way, in a proactive way, is really important.
And have you looked into strategies for that? I mean, in terms of like helping your peers, if you kind of spot the signs that people are maybe going through a tough time, are there ways that you would, how would you approach that with them if they're not able to come to you? Would you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it doesn't necessarily have to be the most obvious thing, but I think it was a family member when I was younger sort of impression on me, this really important thing is just make time for your friends, because although you don't necessarily have to talk about your feelings, but actually being able to spend time with them is really important, because just having someone with you is quite a healing tool in many aspects.
Companionship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and nature is a great place to do that.
Yeah,
I find. I don't know if you do as well, but just the act of maybe just going on a walk with somebody.
Yeah.
Walking side by side rather than sitting face to face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel there's a difference between the way boys and girls, I mean, I know it's very general to talk about that and nothing is ever completely one or the other, but do you feel there is a sort of general difference in the way boys and girls talk to each other or, to their friends about their mental health?
I mean, obviously I can't speak for girls so much, but I did grow up with a sister, and I think it seems, from my perspective, that being more emotional and having that more sort of developed emotional maturity is a lot easier when it comes to talking about mental health and that sort of topic, whereas boys and young men, I feel like a lot of it is very much, and it can be a tool, is very tongue-in-cheek and sort of taking everything as a joke, but actually having those deep conversations almost kind of feels like a weakness, and it's not, and even if it is some aspects of it of a weakness, having a weakness isn't bad. It's being able to speak freely, even if it's a really difficult subject, is important, and I see it as a strength.
Absolutely, yeah. I think being able to talk about your weakness is a strength.
And I think a lot of that is to do with sort of modern masculinity, I guess. And there is this feel with a lot of young men, and we see it probably with my generation younger, is finding that sort of role within the world. And I think finding a sense of purpose is really important to sort of dealing with that. Because and it's not even specific to men. Having a sense of purpose and direction gives life meaning, I guess, and everyone needs to have meaning.
Yeah, and not all of that meaning can be found online.
Exactly, and I think that's a lot of the online space is really negative. And I think, although it's great to have a sense of community, like, you know, I grew up on my Xbox and PlayStation, but actually getting out in the real world is much more positive. You foster those more positive relationships, and you just, it feels better.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, because I think that there's a lot of room for online stuff as well, isn't there? You know,
absolutely.
there are really valuable communities that can be
Yeah.
built online that you'd never be able to build in real life
For sure.
because of geographical differences or whatever. So, you know, obviously that is true as well.
Yeah.
But
And I understand the irony of it. I only joined the Wildlife Trust because of the online world. So
yeah,
you know, there is these massive positive aspects of it.
yeah, we have
that
to have
we need
both.
to highlight.
Yeah,
But actually encouraging everyone to sort of put the screens down and enjoy what you've got around you while you still can is really important.
yeah, absolutely. And like you say, it doesn't have to be a nature reserve, does it? I mean,
No, actually just being out and about, whether it's walking around your area, is really important. It does work wonders. You might not realise it, you know, in the short term, but actually, I think as well the people around you start to notice it as well.
yeah, do you? Now, have you had comments like that? Is that?
Not so much comments, but you sort of, I think the people around you sort of know, and sort of, it's weird because I feel like it's very individual based. Like, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily approach it and say, "You seem a lot happier," or you know, because like, "What did you think I was miserable?" That sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think in your interactions, they're a lot more positive, and I think everyone picks up on that. And I think for me, I've always had this sort of, not fascination, but I love being around water. And I think that stems from when I was younger, maybe. But actually just sitting by a body of water, I find really relaxing, and it just helps you find perspective and realise that actually what you were worrying about yesterday isn't that important, and it is really healing.
And have you always lived in this area?
So I've moved about quite a bit. I lived in Norwich till I was about five or six. And then I think due to my stepdad's work, we then moved into Bedfordshire. We lived in Stuartby for a bit. And then we found ourselves homeless. So we stayed with some family friends in Stuartby. And then we found our longest home in Great Barford, which is, if you don't know where that is, it's a little rural riverside village, which is absolutely lovely. And I think that was where I sort of really developed my sort of love for the natural environment and sort of taking those sort of sessions, as I said, to go out into nature and really just have time to myself. And then about a year and a half ago, we got a no fault eviction from that house, so we had to move. So there was this like mad scramble to find somewhere to live. Fortunately, we got a house in St Neots, which is where I've lived for the last year or so, and it's just been really nice having a new sort of environment. But actually, you know, it's a built area, it's you know, quite urban, but actually having Paxton Pits and then Grafham Water, and then you've got some areas in more rural parts of Cambridgeshire that are really accessible, which has been really nice.
Yeah. God, it really sounds like you've been through it. I mean, you know, and that's the thing though, is that you know, I think people can take things for granted.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
housing is certainly one of those things. If you come from a background where you've always had secure housing for one reason or another, you know, you forget that that's a privilege, I think.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, it sounds like I've been through a lot, but actually you speak to people and it's normal. It's that sort of everyday things that can sort of go wrong, and everyone has those things to deal with. But actually I think being able to speak about it so freely is really important.
Yeah.
Because if you sort of compartmentalise everything, which I am very, very much guilty of doing, I think it can be quite harmful.
Yeah, but it's really nice to hear that kind of connecting with those wild spaces in those places that you were moving to and between has helped you, would you say, connect with those places and make them feel like home as well.
Yeah, and I think it's always, you know, my house may change, my surroundings may change, but actually there's been a constant in the sense that I've had sort of nature and wildlife around me wherever I've been, which has been really helpful.
sense of belonging
Yeah, definitely.
doesn't have to come from bricks and mortar.
No, absolutely not. But sure helps.
Well, yes, yes, of course.
And I think that's not even just for young people, but for people in general. Exploring a bit more, I always remember sort of growing up, my parents and even my grandparents would talk about how when they were younger, they'd go out for hours on end and explore the big world. And I think we've sort of lost that a bit because of the growing presence of the online world. And I think actually going out, not just necessarily with the destination, just walking or getting in the car, driving somewhere and getting out and sort of walking around and just exploring is really positive and always quite exciting.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, definitely. And so you never know what you're going to find. I think that's the thing
exactly.
about nature. Even if it's somewhere that you've walked every day, the seasons are continually changing, and the weather's continually changing, and
absolutely.
Yeah,
and I think that's great because, take for example, Paxton Pits in the winter is completely different to in the summer, and it very much it's changed, but actually I think it's better.
do you? Yeah.
I've always been quite weird. I love the summer when it's here. I complain when it's here, but I also really love the winter and sort of being able to have those sort of like really icy, frosty mornings. We see like the frosty and cobwebs and stuff. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, me too. I'm a cardigan person, so. I just have one more question, really, and that is, if there's somebody listening to this who's a young person or not a young person and they're struggling with their mental health and feeling, however that might present itself, what would you say about them in terms of connecting with nature?
I think just sort of, I guess, take the dive. Take those 5-10 minutes, even if it's just that every day. Get out the door and just walk around. And you may not like it at first. It may seem really tedious, but actually you will find, week, 2 weeks down the line, you feel a lot better, and you start doing it more, and then you might have a bit more of a pattern and a routine. That will also help sort of give you a bit more structure and really help you with your mental health, which I think is really important.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the little stroll around Paxton Pits. I always love coming here. Anyway,
it is very lovely.
It is, and it's been great to talk to you. So thank you.
Thank you.
A huge thank you to Harvey, Anidunnu, Charlie and Kaitlyn for their time and for sharing their stories. If listening has inspired you to get involved either with the Wildlife Trust, your local green spaces, or with our Young People's Forum, youth rangers or events for young people, visit our website at wildlifebcn.org/podcast to find onward links to all of these things. And if you're struggling with your mental health, please do reach out to someone. There are some links on the website to services in our area. There's always someone out there who will listen and care. As ever, I extend a huge thank you to James Williams and Jared Wentwick for the podcast music. Please do help us to spread the word about our work by liking, subscribing and sharing this podcast with your friends and family, who can listen wherever they get their podcasts just by searching for In Conservation. And finally, let us know what you thought of this episode by dropping us a line from the website or contacting us on social media at WildlifeBCN. We'd love to hear what you think. But for now, cheerio!